Good afternoon. Welcome to the Giant Bombcast, episode 15, not episode 14, what just appeared on the screen there. I don't know why it's using the old intro, but hey, we're on episode 15 of the Branching Factor podcast. I'm your host, Tommy Thompson. I'm now going to put my headphones on both of my ears because I don't have to listen to the audio monitor. And I'm here with a special guest today, the man, the myth, the legend that has actually been responsible for all of the audio goodness that you heard already that isn't my voice. Please welcome Ben Ridge. How you doing, sir?
Hello. Very well. Well enough for now.
Surviving. Complaining about people interrupting games of Counter-Strike, which is what we were just talking about before we went live.
Yeah.
As we've talked previously on the podcast, because we try and do it live, we've had issues with the internet not holding up. And so there was a conversation about, do we get a second internet line? And we were just talking about how when I was a kid, my dad actually bought a second phone line because back in the days of dial-up, you know, he's looking on eBay for football memorabilia or something. And I was going to say I'm interrupting it to call my friends, but now that I think about it, I didn't really call my friends. I usually just went round to their house. It's probably my mum calling someone. I think that would have been the problem. Anyway, so yeah, Branching Factor here on the podcast. We try to demystify all things games, and we try to pull from lots of different threads, get different people to come in and talk about their experiences in the industry in whichever way, shape, and form that comes. And so I thought Ben's a really good one to bring in, largely because one, we've known each other for a couple of years now. Two, over the past year or so, you've been a big part of all the rebrand of AI in games, and also with the podcast kicking off, because the intro music and the outro music and all the stingers, actually music like this. And this. That's all Ben. Ben did all of that for me. It was a very long and collaborative process. But a fun one, as I recall. A fun one. And I thought, let's get you on to talk about what you actually do, which isn't just placating my needs to have little audio stings for podcasts and like YouTube credits and stuff like that.
That was a really fun one, because I haven't really played guitar much for a long time. I don't really get to play that much. So whenever anyone wants anything like that, I'm like, yeah. Gives me a reason to work on my chops again a little bit.
Which is funny, because you've got like all your guitars on the wall there as a bit of a flex as well.
Scattered all around, but they're all covered in dust, you just can't see it.
Like, quickly dust them off or whatever, we're about to go on air. Let's quickly tidy it up. But yeah, so you've been running, well, actually, you changed name of it all, did you not? It's now Unfathomable Audio. That's the name of your outfit that you're running, is that right?
Yeah, nice work pronouncing it as well. A lot of people have a lot of trouble with that. Everyone tries to say it a couple of times and they're like, really? Are you sure this is a good name? And I'm like, no. But let's go for it anyway. Yeah, I changed because I was doing my own thing for like many years. And then over the past few years, I've been subcontracting more, and now I've got some sort of regular teammates, so it's not really Ben Ridge audio anymore. So I thought let's lean into this a bit more and see if we can grow. So that is the reason for the change of name.
Gotcha. Because actually I looked it up as well. I was just trying to figure out, like, what would people know you for outside of like the stuff you've done for me? Because like you say, like working with me as a content creator was like a total outlier. But then just pulling out a few other projects that you'd worked on. Sheltered is probably one of your bigger ones. For me, actually, for a big part of it is Overcooked. So you did a lot of music on Overcooked All You Can Eat. But you've done a whole bunch of stuff with not just Team 17. You've worked with like Disney and Marvel. You've worked with the BBC. Like whole bunch of. Like, it seems like it's such a breadth as well. And so how long you been doing this now, I guess, like in a full-time capacity? Because I actually forget how old you are as well. Like, I know I'm older than you, but I can't remember by how much.
I think I'm nearly 35 now. And I've been doing it as a freelancer, I've been doing it full time since I think 2014, so 10 years. Most of that was not doing much work. It just sort of, you know how it goes, it builds up a momentum over the years. So a lot of the credits have been more in the last few years. What was the question? Just how long have I been doing it for?
I was going to say, like, how long you've been doing it? And I think also then it just gets into, because I think probably what would be good is to actually to explain what is it you actually do? Because it's sort of music and sound design, but what does that really mean in the context of like game development?
Well, it's hard to figure out how. So the music is just, you know, a client comes up to me, they have a game. Usually they know roughly what they want, but if they don't, then you have a few hellish weeks of going back and forth with demos and references and stuff like that. And that's kind of how the music side of thing gets going. The sound effects for games, what exactly is not apparent from the name of it?
I guess like I guess it's like, for me, like, funnily enough, I think what's interesting is the process, because I remember I worked with a sound designer when we did Sure Footing many years ago.
Oh yeah.
And Ellie Rainsbury, actually, we worked with at the time. And just I found one of the hardest parts was just trying to express what I wanted. And then in a way that we, like you say, that hellish process of going back and forth of like, oh God, or is this making sense? Or when you get something back from them and you're actually like, oh, okay, that's what we want, or no, that's not what we want. I actually always found it interesting or difficult to kind of convey what I wanted. Like, is that something that you find, is it quite variable, I guess, from project to project, or sometimes is it just that obvious what they want and it just, you know, clicks into place?
Yeah, luckily, I think most of the time it's either obvious and clicks into place, or they're just not that worried about how the sound comes out, or they just trust that I'm doing the right thing. Sometimes it can be insane, though. I've been quite lucky. A few of the projects that I've worked on where they have required a lot of back and forth, I've come on after, like, the sound designer that started has gone off in a different direction for whatever reason. So I hear all these things about how they had to do all these different changes, and everything the developer asked for, they did. And then the developer was like, actually, no, that's not what I want. Now that I'm hearing it, I don't want that. But that's just the way it has to go. Clients always apologize to me when they're doing that, when they suggest something, I do it, and they're like, okay, let's do the opposite. Like, it probably kind of feels to them like they're wasting my time, but how can you really know until you've heard things? Because you don't have the vernacular probably just there ready to tell me exactly what you want, and then things could get lost.
I was going to say, like, how does that feel in terms of, like, I'm assuming that you maybe have to have a bit of a thick skin for that, or at least not get too attached to what you do, because sometimes you're like, oh, that's like, you know, you make a track for a soundtrack in a game or something, you go, oh, that's a banger, and then they're like, actually, maybe not.
Yeah, it's more painful with music for sure, because I think I think at the moment I'm going through a phase where I actually prefer doing the sound design, but I go back and forth. But when you do music and a track is coming out cool, and you're thinking, I'm actually pretty ace at this, then it hurts more when they say no. But at the same time, it doesn't just like die. It goes into like my recycle folder, and there's a good chance that it's going to come back around, and I'm still going to get to use this track that I was proud of. So sometimes, if anything, it's almost a relief, because it's like, oh, I'm happy with this track, and it sucks that it's not getting used here, but who knows, something like bigger could come along, and that could be really satisfying.
Funnily enough, now that I think about it, I remember you pulled a track out of your recycle folder when we started working on, I think it was the credits. I'm trying to think, when we worked together, I think the first thing you did was the branching factor lick, the opening of branching factor, and I think we were trying to come up with the tone of it, or the intensity of it, because we were like, we want guitars, We want guitar. But I think you originally sent me something which was sort of like, oh, you'd been playing with kind of like Doom 2016 style metal.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember that and I was like, I love this. This is also a little intimidating for a podcast. You're kind of waiting for the voiceover about, the Doomslayer.
Yeah. Yeah, because those tracks I think I was making them for Shelter 2, for the boss battles in Shelter 2, which I think quite rightly the devs didn't want. But I was like really happy with those tracks. I was like, come on, sometime I've got to get an opportunity to use these, and I still haven't used those yet. But who knows? Someday. I just hope I still like them by the time I get an opportunity to use them or like build from them.
Like, I think, is that also something that you kind of, again, thinking about that thick skin and also not being too attached to your work? Because sometimes you'll make something and then be like, I don't, like, oh, they seemed really happy with it, but it wasn't my best work. Like, I sometimes feel like that actually doing YouTube stuff where I'll put a video out and everyone's, that video was great. And I'm like, nah,
yeah,
that wasn't my best work. And then sometimes you put something together like, this is, but like, which that's what you were saying a minute ago, like you put something together you're really proud of and they're like, we're going to go in another direction. Like,
yeah.
Fucking.
Sometimes it's also, yeah, that is kind of annoying, like when a track that I'm less proud of ends up being the one in the game. But sometimes it's a good thing because it sometimes means that it sometimes is the track that is actually better for the game. Like, I think I sometimes get a bit too carried away trying to be John Williams and I'll do these these crazy flourishes, all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, this is a puzzle game. We don't need this madness. We just need a background track. I'm like, okay, yep, good point. You use that one, and I think it's less cool, but it probably is perfect.
Nice. But yeah, so how did you actually get started in this? Like, how does one get into working in games audio?
Probably quite a bit of luck, and persistence, and being in the right place at the right time, which I guess comes into luck. My start was, I got quite lucky. Yeah, outside, straight after finishing uni, I found a job doing audio for casino games, and I think it was like the CEO or something was like walked through while I was doing my interview for that, and he was just a bit of a psychopath, I think. And I said like one thing. I think I said something about how I'm addicted to Pro Evo, the football game. I was at the time, at least. And he just went, addicted. Cool. And I left the room. And then half an hour later, they called me offering me the job. I was like, that's quite a horrible. That's what they want from me to like. That's the gambling industry. But,
no, that's a couple of red flags in that conversation. Right?
Yeah, it was quite a strange situation. And especially considering I didn't really even know what I was doing. Like, I had never even done sound design before. What was
your university degree in?
Commercial music performance. So I wanted to be like a rock god.
Okay.
But then I wasn't really enjoying the performance side of it. So I sort of switched from guitar to piano, with a focus on like trying to get into composing. So that was like, I was getting a little bit better at that. And then, so I was able to do some cool demo tracks for them. And they were like, also make the sound of like a slot machine winning thing. I was like, that's pretty much music anyway. It's just like an arpeggio that's harmonized with a synthesizer. So I just managed to knock a couple of those together and they were like, cool. So pretty lucky that I got that job. And I did that for like 3 years. And then my friend was making Sheltered, and he wanted me to do the audio for that. So I did, but then, and this was with Team 17, they wanted me to come up to Wakefield, to do it in-house. So I did, and I got on quite well with a few of them, and they were like pretty overloaded with audio stuff. There's a lot of Escapists stuff going on, DLCs, and also they did like the Walking Dead thing. So I was like, well, I can hang around if you need some help. So I stayed for just like another 3 months and helped out a bit with that. And then after that, I was like, oh, I'm a big shot now. I'm going to go freelance, and people are going to come to me, which is not the way it worked out. And I didn't actually hear from Team 17 again for years after that. So I was just like scrambling, mostly doing more casino stuff, and worked like a part-time job while it gradually built clients. This was like, it didn't really start going well for years.
I was going to say, was it kicking off around the time that we met? Because I remember around the time we met, that was when you did Overcooked, right? Which was, I guess, was that when Team 17 came back to you?
Yeah, I think they'd come back to me a little bit before that with a couple more DLCs, Overcooked and Escapers DLCs. But yeah, that might have been around the time that I did All You Can Eat. And yeah, soon after that, they had a lot of work coming my way as well. And I don't know if you've noticed this, one thing that really helps to like spread your network is when you are working for a client and the contacts you have there leave and move to another company.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, now the more that leave and go elsewhere, the more companies you've got contact in. So a bit of that happened, and I think that was what really helped spread things a bit. And that was how I ended up on Bish Bash Bots, one that I finished off last year.
Yeah, it was funny because I remember not long, because I'm trying to think, we've known each other, what, 4 or 5 years?
Something like that.
Pre-COVID, so that's at least 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we've known each other for about 4 or 5 years. Yeah, because I was still out doing Surefoot and stuff, I think. It was like 2018 or 2019. Because I remember, because you were like, oh, I've just been working on Overcooked All You Can Eat, which I thought was really funny, because I knew the guys from Ghost Town Games who made the original Overcooked. Whereas you were over at Team 17 now, because at this point, kind of Phil and Ollie had kind of gave Team 17 the IP, and it's like, all right, go and do what you want to do with it. And they were having fun making money hand over fist, I think. So it was kind of funny to see Overcooked again in my circles. Like, oh, right. Oh, cool. You're running Overcooked. Oh, that's awesome. But yeah, and so I think you're right in what you're saying, like, particularly like once people move around, because I've had a whole bunch of people reach out to me in the last year or so who are like, oh, I'm at such and such company now. Maybe we can find a way to work together. And some of them, it's like, yes, we have. And then others, it's like, oh, that plate's still spinning. And then one day, if a project manifests, then, and I think certainly because we're both work for hire, I guess. So getting those people in the right places at the right time, I think can be really valuable. Like, funnily enough, the software company I worked for before I got into games, so this is going back now about, oh God, this is about 14 years. Jesus. I feel old. That was a software company that worked for investment banks, and funnily enough, one of the biggest things that actually led to that company gaining a lot of extra business and hiring a lot more developers was Lehman Brothers collapsed.
Oh, right.
Because the guy who founded the company was like some senior partner at Lehman who left to set up this software company. And then all of his contacts were in one bank. And then, of course, that bank collapses. They all get jobs at other banks. And then suddenly they had like 10 times more work coming in.
Yeah.
Which is, I remember chatting with them about it at one point. And they're like, it was horrible, but at the same time, it's also the best thing that ever happened for us.
Yeah.
So
I think...
go ahead.
Go on, sir.
No, you go.
I often think about that when people... I mean, like, I know it's a nasty subject at the moment, but like when people are made redundant, it's obviously horrible and shocking at the time, and it's like, fuck, what am I going to do? But before all this, like, massive waves of it, like in the last year or two, whenever I had met anyone that had been made redundant, I think like 100% of them ended up somewhere where they were much happier and paid better, and just life was better. And so, like, kind of like you just said with that, things tend to end up better when that happens. Hopefully that'll be the case for... Yeah,
I mean, I think particularly also if you go in, you are positive and you engage with people well, I think a lot of people kind of are able to... achieve more off the back of word of mouth as well, where it is, it's, oh, this person's been let go. And then, of course, they have an established relationship with someone else and they're like, hey, we should hire person X to come and work for us because we know they're available and everything else. And, it comes back to that whole don't be a dick.
Yeah, it helps. It really helps to just not be a dick, doesn't it?
Welcome. Like, here's how to succeed in game audio. Don't be a dick. Don't be a dick.
I think I literally said that when Matt got me in to do a talk at AIU. I think pretty much the core message of my talk there was just don't be a dick, and you'll probably kind of get on all right in the industry, really. Might be slow at first, but you'll get there.
It is funny just the amount of times where you've bumped into people years later and it's like, oh yeah, you were a dick. And actually, funnily enough, they don't tend to stick around that long because what happens is everyone finds it, oh yeah, that guy's a dick, so we don't talk to them now. And then, by and large. But, so funnily enough, you were talking about kind of being on and off quite a bit. Like, how long was it then that you were kind of working part-time while you were getting projects coming in periodically? Because I think that's also probably the bit that most people will struggle to stick it out.
Yeah. And I think the persistence or consistency is like probably the most important part. So yeah, that does suck. I don't know, because it was split between different situations. So at first I moved to my mum's house to start out. So
gotcha.
I was able to, I think she did charge me rent, but it was like barely anything. Probably just to make sure I don't just slip into a strange way of life. But so I was like I was probably getting like one small gig per month. And like, I know that 1 gig a month would be massive for a lot of people, but this was like a casino client that's got an area in their mobile app that needs a 30-second loop. So like, and I was charging I'd only charge like 100 quid for that sort of thing at the time. So that was not going brilliantly. And then I just kind of got sick of being in Swindon. So my friends who were living in Cambridge just said, oh, you don't have to pay us rent. You can just come live in our living room and you don't have to pay us anything. I was like, oh, well, I guess I'm used to mooching now. So that won't be much different over there with you guys than it is with my mum. So I'll do that. And when I was over there, things started picking up more, but it wasn't really enough. And I did feel bad about the mooching. So that was when I got a job at BP Garage. And then that only actually, I think I only had to keep that job for about 6 months. I guess the timing just coincided with things starting to pick up. And also I was teaching guitar and playing guitar at wedding gigs as well. So like, even when this stuff wasn't working out, I was managing to find beer money in other ways. So
not playing with the 8-string death metal guitar or anything like. No, we're not doing that for the weddings.
No, I did every now and then. Sometimes I'd have a few beers at the gigs. I don't know if I was supposed to or not. But yeah, like we would play that funky music, White Boy, at quite a lot of the gigs. And I really don't like the guitar solo in that song, so I would sometimes just do my own thing with that. And yeah, sometimes I got a bit too confident and got a bit whacked the distortion up a little bit too much.
Can I just say I'm disappointed we didn't get to see that at your own wedding.
Yeah, what the hell? Why didn't I play guitar at my own wedding?
You had other things to be worrying about. I think you just wanted to get. It's just getting through the day. It's a huge amount of work, so totally appreciate that. Maybe that.
I thought you were going to say staying standing was one of the issues. So.
I mean, I had that problem a couple of times. I completely just glazed over a couple of times. I think during my big day where I'm like, what's going on? So no. I think adding to the pressure.
2 hours have just gone.
Yeah, like what happened? Am I still married? Like, is this happening? Like, what's going on? But yeah, I was going to say before we get into the rest of the podcast, one of the things I did want to talk about or actually ask you about, because I remember when you were working on this, you did work on the Marvel HQ app.
Yeah.
I remember you telling me briefly, like, oh, I'm doing work for this Marvel project. And of course, as the resident Marvel nerd, I was like, ooh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like, what was that process like? Because it seems like you've worked, like you said, like sometimes people are just like, yeah, that'll do. We'll throw it in our game. Sometimes they ask for a bit more feedback. But this time you're working for like a big corporation. So it's Marvel through Disney. And then, of course, the developer. So, like, was there a stricter vetting process on that? Because it's, you know, it has to fit the Marvel style or anything like that.
I think more of the problem with that stuff was making it suitable for children.
No death metal guitar there.
Yeah, and they wanted like cool action hero, superhero music, but still kiddie sounding, and it was just a really tricky. I suspect that the devs that I was working with didn't exactly know exactly how they wanted it to sound, and they sent me some references of like the teen Spidey and his friends, or I can't remember what it's called.
Oh yeah, the current cartoon, yeah.
And it was kind of like teen punky poppy music in a lot of places, and then when it does have like the orchestral stuff, to me it didn't sound very kiddie like. It was still just like pretty epic. So I was like, oh, this is not helpful. I don't really know what to do. So I just do that sort of thing and just throw in like xylophones, marimbas. That was pretty much what I did. Pretty much what happened.
Needs a vuvuzela. Like, let's get one of those in.
Yeah. But then I think they, when I did that, I think that was when they realized they are more interested in leaning towards the cool, epic superhero-y side of things. But
like more like how it sounds in the MCU.
Yeah, just maybe not quite as like powerful brass and that sort of thing. It didn't. That was one where I wasn't really that happy with my work, but I think they were happy that it fit what they were trying to make. So sometimes you just got to live with that. I would have loved to have been a real Marvel thing, like a Spider-Man as we know him, or something, and for me to be able to just let loose. But we'll see.
It's funny how that you were saying there about it's not my best work, but it's attached to a Marvel project, so that's pretty cool. Like, it's cool, but it's in a way it's also less cool, because if you go on my website and you see that, that's probably one of the first things a lot of people would click on, and then the demos they hear from that is just kind of like nowhere near my best work. So it's kind of a shame for that to happen. But like,
oh well.
Okay, so let's sell you up big then. What do you think is the best project or the best work that you've done, regardless of whether the client thought as much? Like, what do you think is like the best work you've done in a project?
Probably those Doom tracks that no one wants to use. Nah,
I'll make when I get funding for a first person shooter, we'll do it. We'll get you in to do the music for it, because I don't think I can afford Mick Gordon. So you're the next best thing.
Off Gordon. Yeah. Sounds good to me. I got the 8-string.
There you go. You're primed. You're ready to go. Yeah. Like, I guess for you as an audio guy, though, what are the games, I guess, in the last few years in terms of music that actually have really stuck with you? Like, what are your game soundtracks where you're like, oh yeah, like that?
I'm just looking at my website now to see. I quite liked the stuff I did for Overcooked, actually. Overcooked All You Can Eat. I was pretty proud of how some of that came out. And Thymesia too. I go back and forth with that. Like, Thymesia was my chance to do a From Software, a Souls-like.
There we go.
I was like, this is what my life has been leading up to. But and so when I think about it that way, I'm like, I probably could have done better. But then I have moments too where I listen to it, I'm like, oh, that's pretty fucking mental. That's cool. And it gets a lot of nice comments on YouTube as well, that soundtrack, so must be all right.
It's kind of like frantic elevator music, I've always thought. Like you're in the elevator from hell. sometimes. Which
yeah, maybe that one.
Because you're where's the lettuce? You know, kind of running around trying to play the game or whatever else.
Oh, you're about Overcooked. I thought you were talking about Thymesia with that.
Oh, no, yeah, you said Overcooked for a second, and I thought you were still talking about that. I didn't realize you pivoted
sorry, no, I
Thymesia.
switched to Thymesia.
Thymesia. I haven't played Thymesia. I need to check that out at some point.
Pretty cool. People say it's like Bloodborne mixed with Sekiro.
Okay.
Kind of. It's
okay.
I haven't played that many Souls-likes, but I have played that one, and I thought it was pretty cool. Obviously, it's not a Bloodborne, but it's one of the closest things I've seen around that gets like a fairly cool atmosphere in there.
I was going to say, we're going to have to get onto games at some point, because I know we want to talk about... We've got some Souls games to talk about. They come up in the news, they come up in the games and whatever else. But yeah, before we get into that, what's the best place for people to find you if they want to hear some of the stuff you're doing? Where should they reach out to you? How do they get in touch?
Well, it's tricky because my website is so unfinished. But I guess
it's unfathomableaudio.com, I believe, is your
website.
Right. I believe that's right.
That's it, yeah. And then there is a contact page there. Who knows if it works? If it doesn't, benridgemusic@gmail.com is the one I've been using for like 80 years.
And then worst case scenario, reach out to me, branchingfactor@aigames.com, and I'll put you through to Ben.
Yeah.
We'll make it work.
That's good. You could just gradually become my agent.
That's it. Yeah, I've because I don't have enough things to do. Yeah. But yeah, let's get into the video games. Play some music. So yeah, I thought I would quickly talk about some of the stuff we've both been playing. I'm still playing Suicide Squad at the moment. Suicide Squad kills the Justice League, and they killed the Justice League in it. I don't know if this is something you've kept an eye on at all at this point.
I've seen pictures is all I've seen. I've not even seen any footage or anything. I'm looking it up now because it's meant to be an online like loot shooter, which you can play in multiplayer. Yeah, I have not played it at all in multiplayer. In fact, the one person who I would have played it with is my brother, who, because we have a shared library, he gets to go and play it, but he went off and played it and finished the whole thing before I even got halfway through it. Come back.
So now I'm like, can we play this together? And he's like, nah, I'm done. I'm like, all right, okay, well, fine. I talked about this on the last episode. It's a perfectly competent looter shooter, but it's wearing the DC skin of the Suicide Squad, which I don't think necessarily works for it, because I think particularly also it's developed by Rocksteady, who made all the Batman Arkham games, and so it's like, all right, well, people aren't really that jazzed for the idea of a Suicide Squad. I was actually chatting with my buddy Graham at the weekend, and we were talking about how Suicide Squad is one of these comic book properties that is being kind of like thrust upon everyone because it is a media property that like Warner Brothers really wants to push because they can make movies out of it and they can make merch out of it and whatever else. But like as a video game, I don't think it's an IP that really works. I think it should be a roguelike, basically. I think that's where Suicide Squad becomes interesting, because what if they actually die as part of playing it? Whereas this game, it's not really doing that at all. It's just sort of, they're thrust the narratively, it's a suicide mission, but you're not really going to die because no.
Because you're supposed to get to the end.
But yeah, but it's okay because we're going to kill the Justice League, and then that's the important thing.
Someone's going to die, don't worry.
But yeah, so I'm jealous because you've been playing Evil West, which I've been looking forward to playing that for a little while. Like, how's that been treating you?
So I've only been doing like 10 to 15 minute bursts, mostly while Apex Legends is updating. I get caught out by that. So I'm probably not that far into it, but it is fun. Like,
is it on PlayStation Now or anything, or did you just pick it up?
Yeah, it was on PS Plus.
Okay.
It was one of the bottom level free ones. I think maybe last month or the month before or something. yeah, so I've just jumped in a little bit because I remember when the like reveal trailers came out for that, I was like, that's fun.
It's
very arcadey.
Yeah, it's got this kind of like Xbox 360 late 2000s vibe to
it. I found I don't really care what's happening in the story, and that's probably why I'm not really like gagging for more every time I stop playing. It's just a bit of fun. Like the combat, I think, is quite fun, and it's getting more fun the more stuff you discover. But yeah, I find myself like not really caring about reading the notes you find and stuff. But yeah, I think it's a fun game to give a go.
All right. I think it's on my backlog. I think I'm hopefully going to play it this year because I really wanted to sit down. Like, my gaming time is always a mess because it's like games I actually want to play, and then games I'm playing with friends, and then games I'm playing for YouTube, and then everything else. Which I don't talk about the games I'm playing for YouTube because that's actually a secret for a myriad of reasons.
Yeah.
But hey, actually,
it'd be interesting to see what you think of Evil West, because I consider myself like not a good voice for reviews. Like I don't know enough to be able to like give you a good idea of if something's good or bad, unless it's from software, in which case it's obviously good.
Well don't worry, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. So funnily enough, actually, when I just wanted to quickly make a mention of something I've been playing, because yesterday, so Dead by Daylight, which is the horror multiplayer game that I like to play, has just launched an Iron Maiden event.
Oh yeah.
Which I saw this, so it was so funny because I knew they were doing some sort of collab with Iron Maiden, and you know, full disclosure for the audience, like Iron Maiden's my favourite band of all time. I have seen Iron Maiden live about 14 times, and no, I'm not joking. I've went on family vacations just to go and see Iron Maiden in foreign countries. That wasn't my fault. I blame my dad for that. But so they've launched. It's a very simple collaboration. It's actually a way to get money out of you because they've done a limited set of licensed skins. So 4 of the killers in the game, the Doctor, Oni, the Dredge, and the Gunslinger, now have Eddie skins based on Iron Maiden album covers. And then like 2 of the survivors have, I think it's Kate and Jeff, who are both kind of musically inclined, have got tour t-shirts now that they can wear.
Yeah.
But they changed the background, they changed the main menu now, so it plays Fear of the Dark when you log on, and it's got this, it's kind of got this motif that's inspired by the Brave New World album and stuff. And so I didn't know this was going to happen, and I booted up Dead by Daylight yesterday, and I was just like, what? And I like literally ran out the room to my partner who works in the other room, and I'm like, how'd you heard of it? He's like, what? I'm like, 2 of my favourite things, Dead by Daylight, Iron Maiden. It's all happening at the same time. They're like, okay, is that good? Is that fun? I'm like, oh my god! And then I ran away, and I spent 25 quid on all the cosmetics. I immediately bought all the cosmetics, having not bought any premium cosmetics for this game, and I've been playing it now for 3 years. I've never. I think. Tell lie. I bought like
you were excited about the Scream one, weren't you? I think.
Oh yeah, I buy the battle passes, but I think that's a lie. I have bought 1 premium skin set. It was some of the Resident Evil skins, for like Leon, and I think I'm trying to remember who the other character was. But anyway, yeah, I usually don't buy all the skins, but I was just like, oh my god, I need to have it. One of the things I genuinely love is so when the characters put on their Iron Maiden skin, so it changes the background music to playing Fear of the Dark by Iron Maiden in the game, and I'm like, that's the coolest thing ever. But also the gig t-shirt that Kate and Jeff can wear, it's actually a tour. They've come up with this fictional Iron Maiden tour that never happened, and then like, because they're in really high quality, so you can read the graphic on the back of the t-shirt and it shows you the name of the tour, but then it gives you all the venues that it played, and it lists all the maps from the game that are not licensed. And I was just like, this is the best thing. I'm so happy right now. Even though I'm being killed, I'm literally being hunted by a guy who's playing the Doctor, who's got the power slave Pharaoh Eddie, and just like murdering the shit out of me. I'm like, this is so good. I've had so much fun playing this game as I die, you know?
I just had a little listen. I wondered if they'd maybe done like a remix of Fear of the Dark or something for it. Seemed like a situation where, sometimes for trailers they do covers, but with like orchestral strings or something like that. I wondered if they'd do that, but it sounds like they've just used the actual song.
I think.
Or am I
wrong? So I'm not sure, because I keep listening to it and thinking, I'm not sure if that's Bruce Dickinson's voice doing the vocals, because if it is based on anything, it's based on the original album version, which is from like 1990 whatever. But I'm listening, but funnily enough, I very rarely listen to the original album version of Fear of the Dark, because it's not, the live versions of that song are way better. So really? I very rarely listen to the album version. So I'm like, and I
also, you
I
just
don't know
it inside out, probably. Like, I guess I probably would still say Megadeth are my favorite band, but I don't really listen to them anymore. And I don't touch any of their, like, the Rust in Peace album and stuff like that, which is probably one of the best albums ever. But I know it inside out. But yeah, like, I could still say it's my favorite, even though I've probably not listened to it for like 10 years or something.
Actually, funnily enough, Fear of the Dark is the only Iron Maiden song I can play. Or I could play.
Oh, nice.
Last time I actually tried to play my guitar. I'm loving it. It's just it's all just it's entirely cosmetic. It's just a lick of paint that they've applied to this game. But I just had this little moment. I didn't get any work done yesterday afternoon. I'm just like, the the favorite things I've made it to the one thing. They're doing a Slipknot collab though at some point.
I just saw that when I was looking this one up. Yeah,
I don't know when it comes out, but I'm excited for it. And I think all they're doing. I think all they're doing is just the masks. So I think it's going to be mostly the Killers are going to get Slipknot masks. And I'm like, cool. So you'll buy, like, the drummers, maybe the guitarists, and you'll buy the lead singers, and then, clown. You'll probably buy the clown mask. And then the rest of them, you're like, I don't remember who that is. Because there's like, I don't know, 8,000 people in Slipknot now. Or have been in it, and they all have different masks.
Did I see him hitting a bucket once?
yeah. There's like the clown dude is like battering what was it? He's battering a keg.
Is that what it is?
In one of the music videos, where it's just like, I'd love to be that guy. But it's just my job in Slipknot is I stand here, I look somewhat creepy, and I occasionally hit this keg with a baseball bat. And I get paid the same amount of money probably as the rest of them.
Yeah, that would be incredible.
Oh dear. Right, hang on. Moving on. Right.
Yep.
Have you played Helldivers 2?
I have.
Right.
I've only had a few goes on it so far, and I've seen that you guys have been mentioning it in the chat, but I haven't been around when you guys have been playing it. But
we've been playing too much Helldivers 2.
What level are you at now? Do you just look like
I'm
a god?
11 or 12 now.
Okay.
So I'm not too high up. Roper's now like rank 16, I think.
All right. I had a teammate that was rank 18 a while ago, and this was like probably like a week after it came out. That was something I felt like. I'm like, how the hell? What else have you been doing with your life? And he had a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most appealing things about it, if you can actually get into the game right now, because they're still suffering from, server woes and everything else. But like, the more time you spend with it, I think it's really just unlocking the stratagems. That's the coolest part. Because
so many, and they're so cool.
So what rank are you now?
3 or 4 probably, I think.
Right. So you've maybe got like some of the Eagle airstrike ones or something like that at this point.
Yeah. I think that's probably, I can't remember which one I got, but oh no, I might have gone for because there's the orbital precision strike is the one that you, I think, have at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then you can get the one that's all around the area. What's that one? I
had to stop using that one. I think is that like the 120mm barrage or something like that, because the amount of times I was playing teammates would die, even though I'm in front of everyone, and I'm like, all right, that's a nest of bugs. We need to take that out. I've got just the stratagem for this, and you do the thing, and then you throw it, and then I stand there like I'm going to wait, and then watch as the rest of my team run past me.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
yeah, it helps. Is this when you're playing with people you know, or is this when it's just strangers?
It was random. It was random.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot. It feels like there's a lot to take in, and I've found a lot of times that I'm missing the information that's telling me get out of this area, and so yeah, I've been blown up a few times by that. I think I'm just not seeing it on time. It happens pretty quickly, I guess.
I think it's the game's quite merciless, I think, in how it communicates information to the player. Because it's also like, hey, well, if you do make a mistake, it's comedy at that point, because it has got this whole comedic streak like underneath it, which I think is really fun, because it's like, oh yeah, we're just going to make you die in like the most ridiculous of ways, and when it happens, it's largely your own fault, and that's okay because that's part of the humor of it. And it's like, okay, so like when you call in reinforcements, you can kill each other by landing on each other.
By landing on them.
Roper now aims for me. I'm like, stop that. But like, you can get a drone and throw a drone down, and then the drone, the turret will it doesn't pay attention to other Helldivers or even yourself. So if you throw a turret down, it'll just shoot everything, including you.
Yeah, just stay back.
Yep. I've had a couple of times where like I've had turrets behind me and I'm lying prone in front of them. Like, I can't move. If I try to get up, I'm going to die. But also there's like 100 bugs coming towards me. just keep shooting. If we're lucky, we'll get out of this, you know?
Do you use the diving much? Has that been helping you out of situations?
Yes, sometimes, but I've had to learn to make sure that I've always got my sidearm ready and loaded. Because what I do is, even though I'm on PC, I play on controller, so I'll dive and change gun in midair.
Okay.
Because usually what happens is my assault rifle runs out, so I dive, change to my machine pistol, and then fucking...
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, if that runs out of ammo, I will just die here.
Yeah. It's all right, I'll come back.
It's fine. I did unlock I think you got to get to rank 10 for it. It's the drone that has that carries a laser gun.
Oh, right.
It's
like the dog.
The guard dog. That's it.
Guard dog, yeah.
I love it. It's so cool. So you it's a little backpack, and then it will just like disconnect, and it flies around next to you, and it's just holding this laser gun, and it will just point at bugs, and it is so useful, but it is also highly likely to kill you.
Like everything else, I guess.
So like you see bugs coming towards you, and it's like, zzz, and then like there's a bunch of bugs to your left, and it just goes, oh yeah, zzz, and then it just like
take your face
chops your head off. I'm like, all right, okay, and then it just and what happens is as soon as you die, it just turns off. So you just watch it like turn itself off as it kills you. Like, okay,
thanks.
Well, that happened.
Sound that similar to a real dog, really.
But yeah, you were saying like you haven't. We'll need to get you on, because I think if you were playing with friends, I think that's when it really comes together, because it seems like you've been you've been stuck on. You're still on Apex.
I still can't like. I've played Helldivers with friends. I think maybe only once actually.
I don't think you and I have ever played. Yeah, we've never played it together, I don't think.
No, we haven't yet. I'm sure we will.
Yes, every time. I like your confidence.
Yeah, because I want to properly get into it. I want it to tear me away from Apex for a while. It's rare that something manages to do that, and it would be nice for it to happen, because Sam is getting so sick of seeing Apex on that screen. So sick of it. And they've changed so much in the latest season, so it's like a whole new game again for me, but it looks the same.
So humor me, what has actually changed? Because I'm so disconnected from Apex these days. I have no idea what the state of the game is.
So you can't pick up Evo shields anymore. I don't know if you were playing it when it got to the point where doing damage increases your shields.
No,
I think that was added a few I was
going to say I haven't played it. I think in about 2 years at least.
Okay, yeah. So I think maybe before then it was probably you just picked up the shields and you were stuck with it. But then you were able to increase them by doing damage. But you could also still pick up better shields on the floor. Now you can't do that. There are different, but there are like more different ways that you can increase them. So there's still like Evo shields that get better when you do stuff.
Right.
And when they level up, you can unlock a new perk for your character, and these are all completely new. So there's like a shitload of new perks, skills that you can learn for each character. So that's like a lot of new stuff. The crafting has changed, but there probably wasn't any crafting at all when you when you last played.
I don't think so.
What was it? You probably when you played, they probably didn't have the banners, the crafting banners. If you have a support player on your team and people die, then you can go craft their banners, even if they've timed out.
Oh, okay.
So it seems like I hate playing without a support character on the team now because it's a huge advantage. And they've made the crafting of those potentially a bit easier to get done now. So you can save your team a bit easier. Yeah, just a lot has changed, and I'm not sure yet how it's going to change. I play with a couple of friends most lunchtimes. I'm wondering if our tactics are going to shift. Although my tactic is just get shot in the side of the head while I'm looting, because I just can't. If I see a red box or something, I'm going for it, even if it is in the middle of a war.
It does seem like, so it sounds like they're trying to encourage faster respawns and just having people in the game more frequently. Because has it ever done, like I know, was it Call of Duty Warzone has Resurgence now, which is like like you constantly are respawning until eventually it caps out. Like, has that ever, is Apex even ever done anything like that? Or do you think that's what they're moving towards, is just trying to get more, keeping people more in the fight and keeping you a bit more engaged? Because I think that's always one of the big problems, right? Because if you play a battle royale like that, if you die too early, then you're just like, or your teammate dies too early. Well, that's it, game over. We're not going to make it.
Yeah. Although some people like it, and I found with one of my friends, if it's just two of us playing with a random or something, and they die and we've missed our chance to respawn them, we find that we try harder. We try to play smarter. And we actually tend to do quite a bit better when we're in that situation. It's like, okay, we have no one get our back now, so we got to get our position early.
No more messing
we got to stop messing about. Yeah, exactly. So that always helps. And yeah, like a lot of the Twitch players, I think they like to be alone, right? And go around killing teams of 3 and looking like machines.
Yeah.
I don't know how people get so good. I've been crap at it. I've been playing it since it came out, and I've been crap the whole time. It was only like last year that I started watching videos, like thinking, "Oh, there's some tips. Can I get better somehow?"
How do I get good?
Yeah.
Funnily enough, like I don't know if they do it in Apex, but they definitely do it in Dead by Daylight, where quite often their username is their Twitch ID.
Oh yeah.
So they'll say like. What they do is it won't be the full URL, it'll be like their username, and then at the end of it they'll write TTV.
Okay.
To imply that it's a Twitch handle. And so I often find that these people are either absolute gods and help carry a game, or are utterly useless.
Because I guess you probably don't really have to be good to be on Twitch, do you? So like,
no.
Doesn't really mean anything.
And then, funnily enough, I won't lie, I have stream spied, I guess. I haven't stream sniped. I've stream spied on other players where it's just like, oh, you're on Twitch, you're a killer, and you're on Twitch. Okay, I'm gonna.
What's stream sniping?
So that's like when if you're playing a game of Apex and someone else is in your match and they're streaming it.
Yeah,
you watch their Twitch stream while you're playing against them, so you know where they are.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah.
And
genius.
I'll admit I have done that as a killer a couple of times, where it's like, oh, you've got your Twitch handle as your survivor name. Are you on Twitch right now? You are. I'm going to kill you now.
Well, it's not illegal.
No, I think I did commit a cardinal sin as far as the games community is concerned, but I was like, I don't like you. You've got a silly username. You deserve to die.
Yeah.
And then like the one person who's been putting up with it, who's been like, I've been trying so hard just to win the game. I've been repairing all the generators. I've been healing everybody. I've been taking them off the hook while this person's doing donuts over there. I'm like, you get the hatch. You can escape. I'm not going to get in the way. So I'm just like I'm just like the killer in the corner. I'm just like,
I'll turn the other way for a second.
It's fine. just gonna, check my phone.
The axe hanging down by your side.
Yeah. I'm just like a xenomorph that's just staring in the corner checking my phone. Like, it's cool, bruh. Whatever. Handsome Jack in the chat has asked, has Ben ever seen Predator?
Does he know?
He does
know something.
He does know.
Is it Jack? Is it Jack?
It's Jack. Yes.
Oh, it is Jack.
I feel like I think he's trying to stimulate conversation. I need to find all the photos from Matt's stag do where it is. I think I only have like 4 photos of you from the stag do, and one of them is you and me having pictures of beer, and the other one, the other 3 are just you watching Predator at different stages throughout the weekend. Good times.
I was thinking of ways I could be weird and ruin your podcast. I was thinking, I wonder if I could play a Predator theme on every instrument I have. Just keep rotating around.
That'd be good TikTok material.
Yeah, probably would. Predator on panpipes.
Yeah. And that's it. Predator on a ukulele. Predator on a theremin.
I don't have one of those yet. You'd have to do some jolty movements. I have a fast arm.
Oh dear. Right, well, we'll make it happen somehow. Continue to subscribe to us here on Branching Factor. If we can get enough sponsorship money, we'll buy all the instruments that Ben needs so he can do the Predator theme in every instrument possible, and then we'll put it all out on TikTok. All right, let's get into some... I want to talk about some news, because also some of this is super relevant to you, Ben. First up, I just gotta plug the thing. I gotta plug the thing. Don't forget, the Artificial Intelligence in Games Summer School is going to be running in the 17th to 21st of June. Early bird ticket sales end on March 1st. But also, it's just super exciting because the Game AI Uncovered book, it's out today. I just hit myself in the head with it. And it's a really good book. It does damage for one thing. But we just got this out today. It's a whole collection of topics and chapters from a variety of game developers talking about AI. And I got to be the opening chapter. So I get to write the introduction to this book, which was really awesome. And yeah, go buy it.
I didn't know that you were part of that. I've seen that going around online. And I was like, oh, that seems like something... that
sounds like something Tommy would be interested in. Yep, look at that. There you go. The first chapter.
You're in it.
There you go. The Changing Landscape of AI for Game Development by myself. Also, if you head over to the AI and Games Discord server, all the links should be available for you, regardless of what platform you're on. There is a discount code and a link that I've been sharing. If you are interested in the book, you can get 20% off until April 1st. So I'll also stick it in the show notes for the podcast as well. But I just got to do my thing. I got to sell stuff, but now that I've finished selling things, I think it's time to get on to the thing that Ben, I think, is most excited about. So probably the coolest game-related story that I saw this week is the trailer for Shadow of the Erdtree, which is the DLC for Elden Ring, was dropped this week with a confirmed release date of June 21st. I haven't watched it because I have actively avoided... So Ben and I have talked about this elsewhere because I'm right now playing Bloodborne. I'm playing all the Souls games in order, and I take a very long time to do it. So I'm years away from playing Elden Ring, but you were very immersed in that space.
I was indeed. When it came
out,
you
still have your Elden Ring poster on your lounge door, which I love that because did that just come with the game?
It did, yeah. And I was thinking my wife would have me take it down like that night, probably. Like, okay, that's very funny. Because I made sure that when she got home from work, I had the door shut with the poster on it and just blasting choirs. I had it loud as fuck. It just seemed like I'd gone nuts. And yeah, and it's still there. How long's it been out for? It's been over a year of that poster on that door.
2 years. 2022 was Elden Ring. So yeah, that poster's been on your lounge door now for 2 years. And every time I come round, it's just like, it's this little, it's not even that big. It's like an A4 sheet of paper or something like that.
It's not even central, half, like one corner's hanging up.
And like, it's like, you didn't even like flatten the creases out, which is also the thing I love as well. So it's like, your house is, I've been around your house a whole bunch. You have a nice house, it's all nicely put together, but there's just this like Elden Ring poster just like slapped on your lounge door. It's like, this is where the Elden Ring happens,
Yeah.
Back up. Have you watched the trailer then?
I have. I've only watched it once so far. As is always the case with From Software, I was confused. Pretty much everything I saw. Seems like Matey Boy comes out of his egg. That's exciting, I think. I probably shouldn't spoil it, should I, if you haven't seen it?
It's fine. It wouldn't be the first time you've spoiled something in the From Software game for me at this point.
Yeah, I get excited.
Oh dear.
Yeah, it seems like there's going to be some pretty exciting stuff, and I think DLC bosses are known to be like even harder than what's already in the main game. I don't know how the hell they're going to make something harder than Millennia, but that'll be.
I have heard so many people talk about Millennia, and now I'm like,
yeah, nightmare.
I'm trying to think.
Any of it?
No, not at all. I own it. It's somewhere on a device. I'm trying to remember which, but no, because I'm finishing Bloodborne at the moment, and then I got derailed finishing Bloodborne because of video projects, and so I'm still where I was. I think the last time you and I talked about Bloodborne, where was I? Hang on, I need to look this up.
I think last time we spoke, we were talking about the One Reborn.
Oh, I finished the One Reborn. I found that the One Reborn was like that one boss that I found super annoying.
Yeah, you weren't a fan.
Because most bosses, like, funnily enough, yeah, like, but then most bosses in Bloodborne I beat after a couple of attempts. So I didn't think it was that bad. What is it? It's one of the last locations. It's like a castle or whatever, and you can get frenzied by it if you're heading up towards it.
Oh yeah, that whole Mensis-y area, and you got to hide behind those rocks and those big wolf things.
Yeah, Mensis.
One.
Mensis, Bloodborne, Nightmare of Mensis. That's it.
Yeah.
So I got up to the lantern in the Nightmare of Mensis, and then I haven't went back, which I think I'm pretty close. I think I'm now like pretty close to finishing it, I believe.
Have you come across the thing that you let down into the abyss? There's like there's a lever I think it's a lever that you pull, and there's a character that's like held up in chains, and it falls all the way down.
I do not think so.
Okay,
right.
It's not a big deal. It's just it's just that it's on my t-shirt right now. But now I don't want to lean back and shoot you.
Well, you're coming round to my house in like
I'll
3 hours or so else. Is it the boss? Was it the Mergo's wet nurse or whatever?
Nah, you don't even. I'm gonna stop ruining things.
Okay. But yeah, funnily enough, on that note, there was actually some chat about Bloodborne in the news this week, around when, of course, the Elden Ring DLC got announced and everything else. Hidetaka Miyazaki, the head at From Software, who of course directed all these games, said he was very happy to see fans calling for a Bloodborne remake. This was over on Video Games Chronicle, but to quote, it is a title we hold very dear, and just as much as our fans, he said, it does make me very happy to see that there are still so many people passionate about it. Put simply, it makes me very happy to see it's a title with a lot of specific memories, both for me and the staff who worked on it. And when we see those passionate voices in the community, of course, it makes us feel thrilled. It makes us feel very fortunate to have that and to have those memories, which is it's like, I don't think anyone reading that is going to think, all right, well, we're getting a Bloodborne remake anytime soon.
Yeah.
It's like, those are nice memories.
Yeah. It's just a very positive, okay, but
buy
this is
our
what
new
we are
things.
doing.
Buy the thing we're working on.
Yeah. Well, having gotten as far as you have, would you prefer like a super cool graphics remake, or would you prefer a Bloodborne 2?
I think I would rather they just make a Bloodborne 2 at this point.
Yeah,
like I thought
so
it was interesting going back to a Souls game that still runs at 30 FPS.
Yeah.
Which I think I'm going to ping pong between depending on future games, because I've played a lot of like Dark Souls Remastered, which is all nicely smooth and 60 FPS, and it runs really great on like a Steam Deck and everything. And then like playing this, where I'm like, oh, this is Dark Souls 1 all over again. We've got that level of fidelity, which on one hand, it's very much in keeping with the games. And nah, I don't really think it needs a remake at this point. Like if you did a remaster. Oh, you do? You think it needs a remake?
No, I don't think it does. I think it's like not quite old enough for that yet. That it would be preferable to a sequel.
I mean, I'm playing it for the first time in like 2023, 2024, and I thought it still feels good. It still looks good. Yeah. I think a lot of the art design is still really strong. Whereas like, the original Dark Souls felt old very quickly, I think. Like you go back and you play that original one, or even the Prepare to Die edition, you're like, oh god, this actually feels and looks a bit rough. So I think the remastered was definitely warranted.
I did all the Souls games kind of backwards, because I started with Bloodborne, and then I think I went to Dark Souls 3, and then I think I did the new Demon Souls, and maybe then Elden Ring. Maybe there was one in between somewhere. And then I went back to Dark Souls 1, Prepare to Die, and I was like, this is it. This is the big thing that everyone loves. This is Jank City. It was so hard to go backwards like that. I still did love it, but it took some getting used to.
It's a lot of jank.
Yeah,
like so much like the physics jank is definitely calmed down, I think, between releases, which is good. But even then, like playing the remastered edition, they've still kept a lot of that in there. So you're just like, I'm just gonna, for a laugh, I'm just gonna like slingshot this dead body everywhere with me. As I just roll into it all the time and just like throw it with my hip. Like, right, let's see how far I can throw this corpse. Oh dear. Good times. But yeah, so there we go. Shadow of the Erdtree, which I'm assuming is the big tree in all the footage of the game, because I've still not played it. June 21st. So that's you sorted. That's your wedding anniversary properly ruined.
Taken care of. And I'm probably going to have to play, knowing them, I'm probably going to have to replay the majority of the game to access the DLC. So there's another 100 hours on top.
Oh God. How long did it take you to finish?
I think I put like I think I did something like 120 hours or something like that. Didn't need to. Like it can be done significantly quicker, but I was having fun exploring, and I'm also just not that good at games, even though like I loved the From Souls once. It takes me a while to deal with a difficult boss, and like I was trying to do them without the I can't remember what you even call them. Just you can get like these spirit summon things that help you out, and I wanted to complete the game without the help of those,
right?
Because that felt more right. But I don't think you're meant to. I think you got to be pretty elite to do that.
So funnily enough, I think that's been one of my challenges with Bloodborne is I don't pay for PS Plus or whatever the online is called for that, because I don't really have any games that I want to play online that are available on PlayStation. They're probably available on another platform. So I fought everything entirely offline in Bloodborne.
Yeah.
So I've used some of the computer phantoms, white phantoms, but that's it. I've not been able to, call in for extra help or even help other people. While I've been playing it, which funnily enough, when I was playing Dark Souls Remastered last year, I was quite happily helping other people a lot, because I really love like that community and I always play as like the Sunlight Covenant. in Dark Souls. So I'm just like, yo, anyone need help with this boss?
I've never done that. I suppose I'm not confident enough to feel like my help will actually get them anywhere.
Well, funnily enough, I was playing as what you call a cleric knight. So I'm wearing a lot of knight armor, but I've also got very high faith. So I'm just throwing lightning bolts at everything. Every time we go into a boss, they're running up like, I'm going to hit it. And I just stay at the back. Like,
it's a little bit of help from the background.
And, it hit me. All right, I'll just have an Estus flat. Oh, we've beat it. Hooray. And then like after I've done that about 5 times and now my character level's too high, I'm like, I should probably fight this boss myself. There we go. I win.
Won it.
Right. Speaking of PlayStation and of course other platforms, after we were talking about this I was talking about this on the previous episode of the podcast about Xbox, and they were talking about their whole thing, the future of Xbox, which the whole point of that story was everyone was super concerned that rumors were abound that Xbox are changing their tactics when it comes to releasing titles on other platforms. Now, as I discussed last time on the podcast, one of the big problems that Microsoft have got is this inconsistency in release strategy, because they have things like Bethesda games that come out on different platforms, and then previously when they bought Bethesda, some of their games were first party, originally exclusives to PlayStation, so things like Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo, which then eventually made their way to Xbox and PC. But then also you had things like their acquisition of Activision Blizzard King, which was done largely on the onus that they are not going to then only have Call of Duty and games of that ilk release on Xbox, because that would be anti-competitive, and then probably the FTC and everyone else would lean down heavily on them. So they've been talking about the idea of like releasing some other part of their games on other platforms, which would be interesting because they're already on PC, a lot of them. So really their next step is PlayStation and Switch. And so they said pretty much what I said I anticipated would be the thing. I talked about this on the last episode. Games are going to come to other platforms. Games will come out day and date on Game Pass on Xbox, but hey, maybe down the line we'll then sell it to people on PlayStation or whatever if they feel like it. And so they announced the first 4 games as part of this rollout: Pentiment, Grounded, Sea of Thieves, and Hi-Fi Rush. And in fact, by now, Pentiment is already out now on PS4, PS5, and Switch. Grounded is coming out in April. Hi-Fi Rush is coming out in March, and they just made a big announcement of Sea of Thieves coming to the PlayStation 5 in April, which is quite cool. So there is actually going to be a dedicated PS5 version of Sea of Thieves. So I thought this is actually good to bring up with Ben, because one of the reasons you and I don't game a lot together is you're very much in the PlayStation ecosystem. I'm an Xbox guy, and I have been for a very long time because a lot of my friends are on Xbox. Does Sea of Thieves on PlayStation appeal to you at all? Like,
Yep.
Does any of these games appeal to you?
Sea of Thieves I'm fairly excited about. I've played it on PC, and I know that you guys used to play it loads, didn't you? And
Early lockdown, yeah, we played a ton of Sea of Thieves.
yeah, I've only put a couple of hours into it, and I didn't really get fully immersed. But it's like, it looks like the ideal game for me. I just don't really like. I used to be like a PC elitist or whatever you call it. Like, I hated consoles, but now that I've experienced just sitting on my sofa and gaming, and not being here where I work all day,
yeah.
I just can't go back to PC gaming now. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to play that on PlayStation. That is, out of that list, the most exciting, and hopefully another game that we could. I don't think we've ever played a game together, but I think we've tried a few times. And something stops it.
Try to think now. Yeah, did we not try to play one game online together at some point that didn't happen?
We tried quite recently.
Yeah, we were going to try playing the finals or something, and then we couldn't connect. That was it. And so we all.
And then we had that whole weird hassle of trying to get Call of Duty, and there were all those weird versions, and that took ages. And then it looked like the download was going to be a million years. So I was just like, have fun, guys.
I'll go play Apex. I'll see you later.
I probably did just go on Apex.
I think the only time I can actually think of you and I playing a video game together, because we played a lot of board games together. I was running at your house and we played Multiverses one afternoon.
Oh yeah,
and I was just confused.
And also the time when you,
because I was like, I don't understand how this game works, because it looks like Smash, but it isn't Smash.
Yeah, that was peculiar game. We did play Marvel vs. Capcom, and that was before I knew that you're actually really good at those old fighting games. I thought, it would just be like a button mashing competition, like it is with most people I play this with. And then I spent like the majority of the session in the air, like you were just comboing me further over.
I totally forgot about that. Totally forgot. I didn't know
you could do that.
Oh dear.
Yeah, that was funny. That was good fun. Thanks, Louis.
thanks for beating me up and keeping me in the air and not letting me actually play this game that I'm playing. But yeah, definitely. I think if you get into Sea of Thieves, we should. I keep thinking of an excuse to go back and play Sea of Thieves. I know Viking Blonde, Will Overguard. We've been chatting about doing some streams together, which is always difficult because he's based out in Seattle. So it's like he's like, all right, do you want to do it? And it's like, all right. So he streams at like 11 o'clock at night UK time, and I'm like, okay. But yeah, I need an excuse to get back into Sea of Thieves because it's a great game. It's a lot of fun.
Nice.
But I think actually, funnily enough, go ahead.
I was going to say, that could be when inevitably we're going to try and play Helldivers and it's not going to be working. And it'll be nice to have Sea of Thieves as a backup then.
It would be good. Funnily enough, I actually had another image ready as part of this, but it's disappeared, so never mind. But it actually ties into the next story that was coming up. So you might end up like Sea of Thieves might be your game for a little while, because Sony, like literally in the last week or so after Xbox were getting everybody in a panic because, does this mean the Xbox is going to end, and then you're no longer going to have Xbox consoles because Microsoft are going to just be peddling their games everywhere? Sony have came out and then said that they're expecting that PS5 sales are now in decline, that the system is now entering its late stage. This was after they were expecting to sell 25 million units, I believe, over what the current fiscal year, and they now anticipate it's only going to be about 21 million. And they have no plans to release any major existing franchise title over the next fiscal year. So that's up until April of 2025. No big sequels to all of their established IPs, which I think is a critical thing, because it says no plans to release any major existing franchise titles over the next fiscal year. So it could mean that there's new stuff.
Yeah.
And also they want to try and push more content to PC day and date. And this has led to Sony PlayStation share value plunging by $10 billion as a result. So you've not, I think actually all your new games that are coming out, you might be looking to Xbox for things to play on your PlayStation for the next year, Ben. I hate to break it to you.
Yeah, it might be. The timing's not bad, I suppose.
I mean, you got Elden Ring. Yeah. You can play that. That'll take up another 100 hours. Like, do you buy a lot of the big PS5 like exclusives, Spider-Man, Horizon, Last of Us, that sort of thing? Is that anything that you're ever really that interested in?
Not really. I really liked. What year was it? The beginning of the new Spider-Man games. Was it 2018 or something? I really liked that game. I think it might be the only game I've ever platinumed, but I felt no need to touch any of the other ones after that. I don't know. It was fun, but I didn't need more. Wolverine, I will be all over if that's still happening. I haven't heard anything about that in a while.
I think they're still plugging away on it. I'm trying to remember. I think it's a 2024 release, if I remember right.
Nice.
Let me check. I'm going to double check what date they have currently got it pegged for. I don't think... have they even got a date for it? It's set for release on PlayStation 5, nothing confirmed, apparently. But I was going to say some more details, I believe, about that game came out during the recent hack of Insomniac, which was a bit of a shame, we won't dig into. But like, I think, funnily enough, like the situation that Sony are in is exactly the sort of thing that PlayStation are in that they're trying to one of their big problems is that they have pushed to have the lead console, which also has a huge install base, and they really want to drive. Funnily enough, like, you're an anomaly because the thing they're trying to lure people in for are these big budget AAA titles. Yeah. So it's like, oh, people are going to buy a PS5 so they can play the new God of War, the new Last of Us, the new Horizon, the new Spider-Man or whatever. But the production budgets of them are getting so expensive. So I think, what was it, Spider-Man 2 apparently had a development budget of like $250 million. Spider-Man 3, which they're already working on, has apparently, according to the leaked information, has an estimated budget of like $350 million. So it's getting more and more expensive, and fewer people are buying PlayStations. And I think they're now looking, funnily enough, to Helldivers, which is a game that Sony published, as like indicative of tapping into a PC audience. Because that game has done far better than I think anyone anticipated.
Yeah.
You know, and that's not a discredit to the game. I think it's a great game, but I think it's captured an audience, particularly on Steam, that I don't think they expected to have. And I don't think that's a good game to look at and go, we need to mimic that, because I think it's a very particular game, right? Helldivers is not something that you're going to make 10 clones of.
The pricing helps a bit with its success. It's like half the price of a regular next gen game.
Oh, but Helldivers! I thought you meant I thought you were talking about the PlayStation. I do think, like, how much was it on PlayStation itself? I don't actually know.
I think it was this. At least when I bought it, it was the same as Steam, 35 quid.
Yeah, I'm just looking it up on the PlayStation Store now. £35, on the PlayStation Store, which is quite reasonable compared to like most of these games are like 70 quid. And it does have.
That's one of the reasons I don't play them. I know it costs them a lot to make these games, but I don't feel the need to pay 70 quid to play them. It's not on release, at least. So I quite often play those games like a few years later. The cap I have on what I'll spend on a game.
It's also due to your time as well. You're like, right, well, if I'm going to spend 70 quid on it, am I actually going to have guaranteed time to kind of carve out for it or whatever else? But
am I going to be able to drop Apex for it as well?
I mean, that's the other big thing is, like, you know, if you've and particularly clearly, like, Apex is free to play. So if you're like, well, is this game going to be enough to pull me away from the game I'm currently playing, the game that actually takes up a lot of my time? And I mean, I do the same thing with Dead by Daylight sometimes, where I'm like, you know what, I could be playing one of these other games. I have like all these games in my backlog, but I only have 30 minutes.
Exactly. And you know, it's kind of like, I was saying it to Sam the other day, like, for me it's relaxing. Like, it's easy for me to just put on Apex, and then one of my usual friends that I usually play with will either be online or they won't. If they are, we'll jibber jabber, and we don't have to talk about what we're doing. We just jump in and play, and it's a social time, and it's just chilling out. I think playing other games is a different type of gaming. You got to learn what you're doing and focus. I should be focusing on Apex, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean? So you're probably the same with Dead by Daylight, because
right,
but you're used to being there.
But that's it. You've played the game for so long that it's kind of muscle memory almost. Like, okay, you drop in. Okay, I'm going to drop over here. Right, I'm going to go and find this. You don't have to actively think. You're not having to really pay attention to story or whatever else that's going on. And so it is. It's like it's like the comfort food of video gaming. You don't really have to think about it. And so when these games come along and it's like, oh, here we go, it's a 70 quid proposition, like, all right, okay, well, maybe I don't know, maybe I'll check it out, maybe I won't. And I think that's a big problem. Like, I think Helldivers is priced really well. It does have monetization in it, but I do like that it's not that aggressive in its monetization, in the sense that there's the acquisitions, which are a battle pass, which you only unlock through progression anyway. And I think right now the first battle pass is free, and there's a premium battle pass as well. I'm going to assume they're going to always have that, like one freely available, one premium one. And there is like skins you can pay extra money for using the paid currency or whatever, but then you can find the paid currency in missions.
Yeah, that's quite cool.
Which is kind of neat.
Although, I think they like, isn't it like in each level, like for the first few, you get like 100 of the credits or whatever it is. And then they start reducing it when you get later on. I'm wondering if they've reduced it to the point where you will never be able to save up enough for the premium battle pass.
I should have a look.
By playing.
I should have a look, because I wonder if it's because like I know I got a whole bunch of super credits, and now I'm like, hang on, how much have I got? Is it like, oh, I've got 10 quid's worth of super credits, or it's like I've got £1.10's worth of super credits, but I played the game for 30 hours. Either way, I do think it is well positioned in terms of its pricing. So I think, and like, because I bought it on PC, and like on PC it was like 20 something. It was only like 25 quid or something on Steam. Nice. So I actually bought the premium version with all the extra cosmetic nonsense, because it was £30 or something on Steam, and I'm like, all right,
I'm gonna be well pissed off when we play together and we have all this cool shit, and I've just got basic. Have you seen that one that looks like it's from Dragon Ball Z? The red thing that goes over one eye.
So I only just discovered, like, have you seen the like the emotes? So you start with the salute emote.
Yeah.
Have you seen the other ones, like the fist bump and the hug?
I haven't. I've only seen clapping, because I think you can unlock that pretty early. But that's
so you got there's like the one that you get when you finish the round, but you can also just do a standard emote. And
I see. Yeah.
I found there's a hug emote, and it's like you just stand like that, and I thought, what does that do? Like, hang on, and then like actually, what happens is if you go up, if another person comes up to you and they press A, you hug it out.
No way. That is ace.
It's so good. To the point that when we jumped onto, we were playing a match a couple of nights ago. I think it was Roper. Like, we're all coming on the ship, like coming out of the freezer capsules, and he stood at the stairwell that blocks us from getting further in, and he's just like, we hugged him all. It's like, everybody, you need to hug to get in. That's the charge. That's the cover.
I want to get a screenshot of when you fire off the rocket and it goes and explodes, and there's that massive mushroom cloud in the background. They've made it super cinematic and cool. I want to get a silhouette of two people hugging in front of it. Be like the end of
there's also like an explosive fist bump emoji.
Oh, nice.
So I feel like that's the one to get, is do the explosive fist bump, like as there's a mushroom cloud in the background. I did post one of those on Blue Sky a couple of days ago. I just posted a photo of me standing looking at the mushroom cloud that I created from the ICBM launch, and I just titled it Democracy. It's like, this game is so good. I do wonder how many people don't get the satire of it.
I feel like they start off like the intro thing leans into the comedy more. I think to start off on letting you know, by the way, we're fucking about here. and then maybe there are bits that are a bit more serious after, but if you know what I mean, they set the tone quite early.
I just wonder if people are just not getting this kind of very strong anti-American, military complex vibe that is like laced throughout this. I don't know. I think the only other thing that I was going to bring up today in terms of news, which I don't think this affects you at all, but it upset me. Not that it's that big a deal.
Then it has affected me.
I appreciate that. You're such a good friend. So there's rumors abound that the original rumors that the Switch was going to probably have a 2024 launch looks like it's going to be pushed back now into 2025, probably Q1 2025 at this point. This is from a Brazilian journalist, Pedro Henrique Lute Lipe, who claims in a new OX do Control A video that he received information from 5 separate sources, as reported over on Video Games Chronicle. And we knew that they weren't moving towards what seemed like a late 2024 launch. There's a lot of third-party developers who have access to Nintendo Switch 2, or whatever they're calling this console, dev kits, and it has been showcased to developers in some corners, as I've heard this firsthand from some other devs, like, oh yeah, like we had somebody on our team who saw the thing. I think they were showing it off at Gamescom last year to some in a closed door situation. But it looks like Nintendo's even telling publishers, don't expect the console now until 2025, which George and I both agreed that we thought they were going to probably announce the new console in the spring with an intent to launch it later this year. But it sounds as if they're pushing it back largely because Nintendo themselves don't think they have a strong enough first-party rollout for the launch. Like, they want to have like a couple of really strong games next to it to help get out the door. So, because let's face it, when they did the Switch, it was Zelda Breath of the Wild, which was a massive system seller for them. And so I think they're going to be looking for something of similar magnitude. And also bearing in mind, the first year the Switch came out, they had Zelda, but they also had a whole bunch of other smaller first-party titles, and then like Mario Odyssey. So they hit the ground running that first year. I think they were just worried. They need a big Mario title because they're not going to have Zelda, because Zelda came out last year. Was a bit off. So Metroid Prime 4 is supposed to be on its way. There's a new Mario that's already on its way. So maybe they're just holding off until then. Have you ever been interested in the Switch? Because I don't think you've never struck me as a Nintendo guy. Yeah, I never really was much. We have got one. I bought one for Sam. It seemed all right. I can't remember why I got it for Sam. I think there was something that she Animal Crossing interested in playing. Yeah, she still hasn't played that. I think she probably will like it. I think she is considering it. It might have just been like Mario. Yeah, it might be Mario Kart. Actually, she was interested in getting back into. And then it was actually George at one of those Hitchined meetups we used to do. Oh, yeah, back in the day. That sold Breath of the Wild to me. I barely even knew what it was at the time, embarrassingly. And so I was like, all right, I'll give it a go. And it was fucking nice. So I was playing a fair bit of Switch around that time. And and Hades as well, I played on Switch. Ah, okay. I had a blast on that. So I like it, because I don't have a Steam Deck yet either, so it's my only thing that I can take around with me with these, the Switch. But will I buy the new one when it comes out? Probably not. Depends what their big release game is. I've never really been interested in many of the Mario games. So. Yeah, you've never struck me as a Nintendo. I don't know what a Nintendo fan. I don't know what the term is for it. I've also just noticed Matt's been in the chat over on YouTube, talking about. We were talking about when we were talking about what's the word I'm looking for? Helldivers, where he refers to it as shiny EDF, which I did, which was my swipe at him recently, because I'm like, this is Earth Defense Force, but because it's got a fancy graphics budget, this is the only reason you're in. Did Matt hate Earth Defense Force then? Oh, Matt hates Earth Defense Force because because of its graphics. Largely. Is that the main reason? Okay. Largely. I remember showing him Earth Defense Force 3 on the Xbox 360, and I could just see him like throwing up in his mouth. I'm similar. So, I get put off by shitty graphics sometimes. I need to get Matt to come on now and defend himself in a future episode. I was siding with him then. Did that come off the other way? No. No. Like, just to defend himself to me. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Like, it's okay. Like, you guys, it's all right for you guys to be in the wrong because you're just guests. We can just kick you off the show after this. Like, you're not coming back now. Oh dear. But yeah, so no Switch till next year. I'm a little disappointed, but then also because I've played a lot of games on my Switch. I'm a big Nintendo fan, so I tend to buy a lot of their first party stuff. But also my Switch backlog is so long that I'm like, I got enough to. Your everything backlog is too long. Isn't it? You must have thousands of games you've been meaning. Because you said that you don't you get stress all of the free it's pulsing.
The free Epic games. I think I remember you saying that you get all of those because you might end up playing them at some point.
The amount of games
and over the years, that must have added up so much.
The amount of games I pick up in a Steam sale because I'm like, oh, that might be in a YouTube episode at some point, and then it's like, oh, that would be cool, and then 2 years later, I finally make the video, and I'm like, why didn't I just wait until I knew I was going to make the video? Like, I mean, I've got better at that in recent memory, but also one of my worst habits is the amount of times I see a game and I'm like, oh, I really want to play that.
Yeah,
I'll buy it.
Then in a few years, maybe I'll find time.
And that's it. It's like it's the SpongeBob thing. It's like a game comes out launch weekend. Oh, you know what? I think I'll buy that. 6 months later, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I was going to play this game. Open, and I'm like, why did I pay full price for this when I played for like? I've actually that's happened twice. That I actually bought a game in full price, and then I didn't. Some time between buying it and installing it, something happened, which meant I didn't play it, and I'm like. You have a problem, mate. You need to actually sort yourself out.
Yeah, that's gonna hurt.
That does hurt.
I feel bad enough that I didn't finish Armored Core. Like
I need to go back to Armored Core.
You still haven't played it?
I played Armored. I played Armored Core for about 8 hours, and I was really enjoying it. I was having a great time. I was like, this game is so good, and something happened.
That's basically what happened to me. Like, I wasn't like having a bad time.
No,
it just vanished from my mind, and I just stopped playing it.
I think it's because we're adults. Like, maybe not in mental faculty, but we're adults who have jobs, have lives, and therefore sometimes things just get in the way. And I think that's the problem, because then I'm suddenly like, oh. I actually was thinking about Armored Core like 2 days ago. Like, I really need to go back, and I think now I'm actually going to start it all over again.
Nice.
It's been so long that I wouldn't want to pick it up now.
There's one boss that I think from what I read is somewhere about 2/3 of the way through the game.
Okay.
That is tricky.
Okay.
And you're gonna at least play it there. And then I think I've heard that there's not much more happening after that, but I could be wrong.
I only got as far as I remember the sequence where it's like an ambush by like a bunch of cloaked cores.
Oh yeah. Those fuckers.
That was stressful. Because I was streaming it at the time as well, and I'm just like, what's happening? But that big boss against the walking fortress is just like, this is so good. This is so good.
That was large.
that was fantastic. I absolutely loved that whole sequence. Right, I want to go back now and play Armored Core, but actually I can't play Armored Core, even if we do wrap up this podcast, because you're coming round to my house in like 2 hours to play board games.
That's just about enough time to set up Monster Hunter.
I was going to say, are we playing Monster Hunter? I think when I raised it with Matt or with the chat earlier, Matt said Monster Hunter, which for anyone who doesn't know, like the Monster Hunter board game, one, it's really cool, but two, it's built to be allowed to have multiple playthroughs, to actually have a full-fledged campaign, and so everyone is able to make a note of their hunter and like what equipment they've got and what weapons and armor they've crafted and what monsters that we've, or like what scraps and like pelts and stuff that you've got from hunting monsters. So we have to maintain a record of what day in the campaign we are, and then because you only get like X amount of days to complete the whole campaign. So we played it a couple of months ago, and then what was it, the December, we were supposed to meet up before Christmas, and then everyone was ill, so we didn't meet up. And then January, last month, we were around at Matt's house because we had to have it at Matt's house because he didn't have a sitter. So I'm not bringing Monster Hunter to your house because it'll take me forever to like set it all up or whatever. So what was it? We played. Oh, you weren't there for that. You weren't there for that night. We played. We played the Alien game, Fate of the Nostromo. That was good fun.
Yeah, that does look cool.
I keep thinking that I brought it round to your place to play, but I think I brought it round and we never played it, or I talked about it and we never played it. So we should get you a game of that at some point. It's good fun.
Yeah, I think it has been brought up a few times. We only did probably the only ones that we played the X-Wing game.
Yes,
just you and me at my place, and we played Street Fighter at yours. I think those are the only two that we've done that were like 2-player dealios.
That were just you and me. Like we've played it with our respective partners. We've played a bunch of games together, but that was the only two that we've. I want to play more Street Fighter because Street Fighter is quite fun.
That was cool,
and I did enjoy X-Wing, even though we spent half of it doing circles around each other, trying to line up a shot.
It just feels like it has such potential to be really fun, but so far I've not really had a fun experience on it.
Yeah, it seems like if you're actually good at the game, this is really fun. But we're both like pair of numpties trying to fly these X-Wings and TIE fighters around, and we can't seem to hit each other.
And we might have been playing the easy version as well, which probably just reduces the stuff that can happen. Or were we? I can't remember.
Oh, God.
Because there was a lot of reading to do.
That was a lot of reading. Because I remember we were round at your place, and it was like, all right, we're going to play this game. And I think our partners had set it up as sort of like a play date. Is that right?
Yeah.
We'll come over to your place, we'll have lunch, and then our better halves will disappear to the other room while the guys stay in here and play their board game. Oh, thanks, Hey King over on Twitch. But yeah, like sort of, we'll play our little board game, and then they came back in like, how you guys doing? And it's like, I think Tommy's almost finished reading the manual, and I'm like,
pretty much. That's how a lot of them are now, though, aren't they? Like all the cool ones, like
Monster Hunter,
Street Fighter, Monster Hunter. Yeah, it's just a tome that you have to get through before you can play the game.
I was going to say, remember the first time we played Monster Hunter? I was sending you guys photos of this because I had the whole board game set up in my lounge for like a week before you guys came round to the house, and I'm like doing a dry run of it myself, like with the book, and watching someone on YouTube. I'm like, how do you play this game? How do you do the thing? And you have the hair and the hair. Okay, I think I've got a grasp of this. And then you guys came round like, you understand how this game works now? I'm like, maybe.
Kind of.
Let's go. As I'm sitting here with the giant booklet in my hand, like page 207. So yeah,
now it's been like 3 months since that, and probably going to start from scratch again. I don't remember a damn thing. But I'm sure it'll come back to us.
I just had that thought as I was making that little rant that, oh God, I should go downstairs as soon as this is done, go and set it up and have a look at the manual again to remind me how to play this damn game. Because also I've got to reset up everybody with the correct equipment. Because you all crafted stuff when we played it the last time.
And you've still got all that. Oh, crap.
It is really fun, though. I think it is worth saying, like, even then, because we were playing it as a team of 5, because even though it only allows for 4 hunters, I actually played as, like, the DM for the monster to make that easier on everyone else. And I thought that was fun. But even then, I could maybe join you as a hunter. We could probably break the rules slightly and have a 5th hunter in there. But
yeah, it's going to go. I mean, we lost anyway, didn't we? So we probably need the help.
Oh, yeah. Did we not? We did one hunt, and we actually, against the Toby Kadachi, and we actually failed it. That was... Yeah. And it was like 1 a.m. at this point, and you're like, all right, guys, I need to go home.
I was not hoping.
But no, you have plans this weekend, so we're not allowed to keep you up too late.
Yeah.
All right. Let's start bringing this episode to a close. So, Ben, thank you so much for joining us today on Branching Factor. It's been good to have you. We'll need to have you back on at some point just to talk nonsense. Anytime.
We'll do it after the Elden Ring DLC.
All right. You can become our resident From Software expert.
Yeah.
There we go. We needed one. We've now got it. I'm the resident. I'm
everything expert.
I'm just the guy that presses all the buttons and tries to sound smart and fails miserably. Anyhow, but yeah, thank you very much for joining us on Branching Factor. It's been a lot of fun. I've had a great time chatting with the wonderful Ben. Don't forget to check him out over at unfathomableaudio.com. That's unfathomable, unfathomable, unfathomable. You got to say it 3 times fast. And of course, Branching Factor.
And I end up in your house.
It's like the Beetlejuice of audio. Just say unfathomable. And then you're like, all right. Okay, well, the wife's just dropped me off. Do you want to play Street Fighter?
Yeah, just really awkward. Don't suppose you got a beer?
I do. There is beer in the house. There's beer. Actually, I need to start cooling the beer for you coming round because I can't serve you warm beer.
Oh, nice.
I'm kind of a horrible human being, am I? I'm not a monster. But yes, check us out. Don't forget to rate the podcast on whatever platform of choice that you're currently on. Reach out to us via our socials over on AI and Games. If you have questions, send them out to branchingfactor@aiandgames.com, or for patrons, visit the AI and Games Discord server. Of course, everything I'm doing here, this is all supported by the AI and Games Patreon. So go to patreon.com/AI and Games, and a shout out to, of course, our 2 executive producers over our top tier patrons who support Branching Factor, and that's Scuppy Pup and Michael Russell. We'll be back soon. Hopefully one more episode we're going to squeeze in right before I pop off to GDC in March. But Ben, it's time to wrap up. Thank you very much. Shall we say goodbye?
I reckon we could. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Perfect. We did it. All right. Take it easy, everyone. See you later. I'm terrible at this. I need to work better on how to actually end this thing. The Branching Factor podcast is hosted and produced by me, Tommy Thompson, with support from Anne Sullivan, George Osborne, Mike Cook, and Kwang Yun. Our theme music is provided courtesy of Ben Ridge. The logo and thumbnail art is thanks to Helen Odell. Special thanks to Shraddha Gupta and Phoebe Trigg for additional production support. And of course, to all of you out there listening, thanks for joining us for this episode of Branching Factor. Wherever you are in the world, be sure to stay safe, have fun, and we'll be back.